Deck Tech. We're going to be putting together something for steel for y'all today. So the trick I'm finding to steel is to know where the soft cap is. The soft cap for physical armor and energy armor is around 150 to 200. Each point you spend into it after that mark is going to be worth less than just raw health. So you don't want to go very much over that. I build to 250 because there's a lot of physical penetration and energy penetration right now, as there should be, because guard is so OP right now. Guard and barriers are so OP. So I start with the health potion and the mana potion, so I can stay in lane longer and farm up longer, and they can be dumped later. So I don't see any downside to buying them. Some people go straight into items. I'm not really a huge fan of that, especially if you're laning against an Iggy or a Gideon, because they're going to punish you for trying to farm. That rock really hurts early game, and Iggy is just going to put down her turrets and makes you really hard to farm, and you can fall behind. So it's just good to have these. Then I'll build a Guardian's Ward. Most of the time I put, I don't know, 400 to 600 health on it, since I do my upgrades separate from my cards. If I was going to put them in here, it would just be like health, lesser health, and maybe I'd put a minor strike hanging out there just in case I wanted the extra damage. Then I build an animate edge, and I build 2 strikes and a health on it every time, and that's going to give me an extra 300 health and enough damage to take me in through the mid game. Then you get to the really tanky part. You build whichever is more important. You build the tempered plate or the tune barrier, and almost every time this is greater barrier, greater health, because that gives you about 250, which is over the soft cap, but is kind of necessary for tanks because of all of the penetration, so you still get the effectiveness of your armor even with their penetration. And then health, so that's another 400. And then you do the tempered plate the same way, just flip it. Then you build, depending on the game, if you're fighting a lot, you want this Pendulum of Lords for some mana and for some cooldown, so you can proc your abilities more often, stay in the fights longer, so you don't have to back for mana or whatever. And that's generally full build. The other way you can go is if there's not as many fights, but your team's not really paying all that much attention to you, so you get caught out a lot, you're going to want to build this adamant edge, and I just put a couple major strikes on it, maybe. I don't know, 2, maybe a health. But that's going to put you at just over 4,500 health, and you're at about 250 armor on either side of it. You're really hard to kill. You can stay in fights. Another thing to note about Steel would be that he lanes and plays very good against Gideon, who's really popular right now. His square charge with the knockback will pull Gideon out of his ult, as well as the shield slam, and this is really the key combo here. The force shield's okay. I'm not a huge fan of the shield block. It's not a lot. It makes you slow, and you can't hit run mode, and it's got like a 20-second cooldown, so it's really not all that good. A lot of times I don't use it. I'll go whole games without using the R1, but it can save you. It has a couple of times, so the other abilities really make up for it. The force shield is huge. Projectiles can't go through it. Murdoch ult gets through that. It shoots through everything. It slows them. It's hard to slow in combat, but it's really good for a disengage. Throw it down, walk through it, and that is a nasty slow. They're not going to catch up to you. Like, we all know how nasty the Fae slow is. and it's only 120. So 180 coming from steals, and then it climbs up with that. It's so nasty. But the real key combo here is the dunk, which is the shield slam. It knocks up all enemies, applies a short stun. It stops everything. If they're trying to do it, it'll stop it. If they're trying to charge, it's got a little bit like, I don't know, I think it's like just under a second before you actually start moving. If they start to charge and you do this, it'll cost them their cooldown and they won't charge anywhere. They'll staying there. But the thing with this is you knock them up, and with the stun, you can walk behind them and charge it. So you have so much peel in those team fights. Like, if their Murdoch's pushed up just overextended a little bit, you could punish him for that. If somebody's all over your teammates, if there's like 3-on-1, your teammate's about to die, you can shield slam and charge them away, throw your force shield down, and you're super tanky. You can tank 3 of them long enough to get through your shield, and then they can't catch you. Or the rest of your team can get there before you're all the way dead, and hopefully you'll put down at least enough damage to make the team fight favorable. Your role is really a supporting fighter, not as much of a carry as I see. I'll probably put up some gameplay with Steel later on, probably tomorrow. I need to get a little bit more put together. But thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoy playing Steel Deck. I'll link it in the description. Thank you.